If you read the news on June 12th, the headline from RANZ was definitive. The government was clinging to a majority. The math presented seemed simple. The National Party, New Zealand First, and ACT supposedly held 62 seats combined, just enough to cross the 61-seat threshold and keep their grip on power. But look at the wider data, and that certainty vanishes. 3 other major polls, One News Varian, Roy Morgan, and The Guardian, track a completely different trajectory. In these alternative datasets, the current coalition is highly fragile. Their support sits in the late 20s to low 30s, leaving them trailing behind the opposition left bloc and staring down the very real possibility of a one-term collapse. This creates a glaring discrepancy. When a government's actual public mandate begins to fracture, a highly specific type of poll often surfaces. Think of it as a rigged mirror, reflecting an image of strength that doesn't actually exist. What looks like an objective, mathematical measurement of public opinion is actually the first stage in a pipeline designed to manufacture a false consensus of stability. The Taxpayers Union, a lobby group with a specific ideological agenda, commissioned this particular dataset. The Taxpayers Union operates as a partner within the Atlas Network, a massive global infrastructure of hard-right think tanks. This international machine coordinates and funds organizations dedicated to pushing corporate deregulation and systematically dismantling indigenous rights. To conduct the actual survey, this lobby group hired Curia. As journalists frequently note, Curia serves as the traditional, partisan pollster for the governing National Party. Furthermore, the firm operates completely outside the Research Association of New Zealand, meaning it functions without the standard professional oversight of the polling industry body. We are left with numbers funded by an international ideological lobby and executed by a partisan operative. This is a weaponized political product, posing as independent data. You don't have to invent votes out of thin air to skew a result. A pollster uses statistical methodology to sweep reality out of sight. Take the treatment of undecided voters. In the June Curia poll, nearly 7% of respondents hadn't made up their minds, but those people were entirely removed. By mathematically disappearing that uncertainty, the model artificially inflates the remaining decided voters. A shaky administration appears secure. The second statistical choice involves ignoring the mechanics of the electoral system itself. Under mixed-member proportional representation, specific electorate wins can create overhang seats that change the total size of parliament. The poll's seat projection relies on hidden assumptions that model away these overhangs. This specific calculation neatly compresses and minimizes the potential parliamentary influence of Te Pāti Māori. These are deliberate formulas. They discipline Indigenous leverage out of the political narrative and project a commanding mandate that the actual numbers barely support. Once the spreadsheet is finalized, the Taxpayers Union releases the curated results into the broader media ecosystem. Traditional news outlets often take these specific numbers and publish them verbatim. The data is treated as an objective measure of the nation's mood, rather than a narrative crafted by a lobby group. As headlines repeat across different networks and platforms, an echo chamber forms. The public hears over and over that the government is holding steady. The ultimate target of this exercise is the machinery of the state itself. By maintaining the illusion of strong public support, the ruling coalition justifies its continued control over government infrastructure. The uncritical repetition by the press completes the cycle. It successfully launders an ideological bias into accepted, everyday public reality. This is where the spreadsheets become flesh. A manufactured polling mandate provides vital political cover, allowing a fragile government to aggressively push through policies that lack broad public consent. When these headlines suggest a stable consensus for the status quo, the government gains the confidence to prioritize a budget surplus over social investment. This legislative confidence translates directly into funding cuts for government departments, stripping away the institutional protections that prevent tamariki and whānau from falling into deep generational poverty. Simultaneously, the government directs systemic attacks against Māori institutions and rangatiratanga. But Indigenous communities are not accepting this quietly. They are actively mobilizing and pushing back. In the framework of tikanga, right relationship and accountability are essential. Deliberately externalizing social harm onto tamariki and disabled people just to maintain elite power is a profound breach of that duty. It is deeply Maori depleting. We have to demand transparency from the information we consume. Every citizen should ask exactly who funds these polls and what statistical assumptions are hiding in the fine print. In the face of a government using lobbyist spreadsheets to project strength, the response is mobilization. The path forward depends on distinguishing between a genuine public mandate and a well-funded narrative.